process, and this is my audience.
Don't tell me. I'm not that far yet.
In this speech, I'm going to be showing you how the process is to harvest in a tract of timber. My visual aid is this leaf here that I got at Tech. The main purpose is to educate my audience on how to go about getting a tract of timber sold and harvested if they don't know how to. The central idea of if you own a tract of timber, this is how you are to go about getting the tract harvested. Think about this. Imagine if you have in a circumstance that you have a family member who is drawing up their will to leave to you after they pass. You are to inherit 200 acres of timber. You do not know anything about forestry or how to go about managing this tract of timber throughout its life, or how it's to be harvested. In this speech, I'm going to go over the buying and selling process of timber and all the different ways timber is usually harvested throughout the timber's life. I've been around the logging industry throughout my whole life. My dad has a logging company, so I've grown up hearing about it and learning all about the process of harvesting a tract of timber. It wasn't until I began college and started majoring in forestry that I began to learn more about the managing, buying, and selling side of things that comes along with forestry. Forestry is the science and craft of creating, managing, using, and conserving and repairing forests and associated resources to meet desired goals, needs, and values for human environment benefits. Forestry is practiced in plantations or natural stands. The science of forestry has elements that belong to the biological, physical, social, political, and managerial sciences. My grandfather started a logging company in the 1960s, and then after his passing in 1994, my dad then became the owner. Let's say that you have a tract of timber that you want managed, but you do not know the steps to go about it. I'm going to explain these steps in having a tract harvested. The first thing that you are usually going to do is contact a timber consultant. While consulting foresters provide critical technical assistance in all phases of forest management, answering the first of these questions prior to a harvest is perhaps the most critical. With a detailed understanding of the volume of timber products ready for harvest, landowners can ensure that they are not being shorted by the logger when the timber is sold. Landowners can also apply published markets prices to the volumes and have a very good estimate of the total income that they will receive for the sale. A timber consultant, usually someone who is hired to look after a person's family's tract of timber and let them know that they think the tract is supposed to be harvested and the type of harvest that the tract needs to be done to it. There are a few different types of harvest that you can do on a tract of timber depending on the age of the timber. It can either be a first thinning, a second thinning, and then lastly a clear cut, and it's usually done in that order depending on the age of the timber. The timber consultant will either call a timber dealer or the logger himself and get them lined up on getting the tract harvested and give them the guidelines on how the timber should be harvested. Timber consultant will look after the operation the whole time it is being done so that they know the tract is being harvested correctly and the landowner of the tract of timber is being treated fairly. After your tract has been harvested, the logger, the forester, and the timber consultant will get a percentage of money out of the timber that is sold as their pay. There are a couple of different ways that a timber buyer can buy a tract of timber from you. He or she is usually going to offer you two different ways that it can be purchased. Either a lump sum offered or a pay-as-cut option. The lump sum option is an amount of money in full that the timber buyer will offer the landowner, and the pay-as-cut option is the landowner will get paid according to how much the timber is sold off the tract each week. Most people usually take the lump sum option because a lot of the timber people are having their tracts of timber harvested because they are in need or want of a lump sum of amount of money, and they get a larger sum up front. The benefits of the pay-as-cut option is that you are getting cut. You are not getting cut out of any money that is sold off the tract of timber because you are getting the direct amount that is sold off the tract that week. On the logging operation side of things, there are several different ways a tract can be harvested with different types of logging equipment. Logging is the cutting, skidding, on-site processing, and loading of trees or trucks onto trucks or skeleton cars in forestry. The term logging is sometimes used in a narrow sense concerning the logistics of moving wood from the harvesting a tract, and sometimes be as small as one-man operation, or it can be a multi-person crew. The modern way it is done today is a multi-person crew. Logging operations have enhanced a lot over the years. Logging has become really mechanized, and most of the operation can be done from inside the cab of an equipment and by the push of a button. There are many different types of machines that can be used to harvest a tract. The harvesting will start by the trees being cut down. The trees can be cut down with a machine called a feller buncher. The feller buncher is a machine that has a huge rotating disc on the front of it, and it's a huge saw. And how it's done is the machine is drove into the tree slowly, and it severs the tree from the stump. The feller buncher operator will normally pile the cut trees into piles, and then a skidder operator will come around after the trees have been cut down, and he will pick them up and take them to a processing set that is located somewhere within the tract. There are a few different types of skidders that can complete this process. It can either be done with a grapple skidder, a cable skidder, or a clam buck skidder. Usually a clam buck skidder would carry more wood, more of a payload to the set at one time than a grapple or a cable skidder. The most common way that is done around here is the grapple skidder. A grapple skidder is a tractor that has a huge grapple on the back of it, and it can pick up many trees at one time. Once the skidder operator takes the trees to the processing deck, a delimber of some sort will delimb the limbs from the trees and cut the correct lengths out of the trees that the mills are requesting. The delimber is normally a knuckle boom loader that has specific saws connected to it to correctly process the trees. Once the trees have been processed to their certain lengths, they are piled and ready to be loaded onto a truck and carried to a mill. Different mills request different types of lengths and species of timber. So according to the type of timber, the truck driver will then haul the loads of wood to the mill to be sold, and they will later make the trees into product. Buying and selling and harvesting tracts of timber can sometimes be a very confusing process to people who may not know anything about it. If you are getting a tract of your own timber harvested, you're going to want to know something about the process so that you know for sure when you are getting treated fair and the best management plan for your tract. I hope that this informative speech has informed you about the basics of getting a tract harvested, so that if you ever have the opportunity of owning your own tract of timber, you can know the different steps to having it harvested.